Hey guys, this is another shot breakdown of a shot I recently did with some Mythic Legions figures. I know Mythic Legions, again, they're my favorite. They're my muse, what can I say? This features one of the newer figures from the Alithia Wave, Lord Bardrick, and two Elf Legion builders back there that I really haven't used a lot of in shots. I don't know why. I like the elves. I think they look cool. Just haven't had the opportunity to do anything with them. It also features the newest forest troll with the head of the ice troll that they repainted green for this version. But let's get to the shot here. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of cardboard here. Necessary because of the height of the troll. I mean, I could have probably sat him down. The bottom, his lower half doesn't really show, but there is a place where his sort of middle section shows, and it could have been a problem if he was bent over or something like that. So just, I like to kind of see the motion of the full figure if I can. I mean, I'm not adverse to, popping a top off a figure or having it kneeling down if I want it to be in the foreground of a shot and you're not going to see the lower half of it, so it looks like it's lower and you don't have to build up the rest of the scene. But in this case, I thought it was better to build up the scene around the troll. So that's what I did. So that's what all the cardboard is. This is all stuff I saved from IKEA Detolfs and other IKEA stuff. It's not really corrugated cardboard. It has like sort of a honeycomb thing in the middle of it. Whatever. It's nice and thick, and it builds up quickly, and you can kind of move it around and manipulate it around the scene and stuff like that. So pretty sturdy too. So that's what I use. So the scene is Lord Bardrick and these two elves are sort of coming up on this troll, and Lord Bardrick's taking the lead, sort of maybe leaping from the edge of this. It really doesn't matter what his position is in the final shot. The scene setup. These rocks are some rocks that I got that are meant for aquariums. They're nice and they're light-ish, and they kind of have a lot of crags and stuff like that, so they kind of fit together pretty easily. So there's two stacked up there for the one that Bardrick's on, and there's just one little piece that's sort of stuck over there to make it look like the mountain is complete. Now this is matching a background that I found on a stock photography site that I have a subscription to, so I do pay for these images to use, and as always I try to use as little as possible of them. It's usually 30% maybe of my entire shot at most. It's never 50%, it's never the majority. It's never really a figure just sitting in front of a background, so without having some sort of foreground element that ties it in or hides part of it or whatever. So the mountain in the foreground kind of matches the shape and the look of the rock in the background, so that worked out well, and the rest is all kind of up to lighting. Let me walk you around the back of this, and I'll show you how things are set up. All right, coming around the back of the scene, you can see I've got these machine tooling tools. They're weights. I forget what they're for, but anyway, they're fantastic. You can get them on Amazon. They're great for building up height on something. They're really heavy. They're great for holding down things on a scene. And because of the holes, you can put stands in there, kind of loop it, run it through, a wire, and then run it around the foot of a figure or something like that, and it holds it really well because it's got a lot of weight. Bardrick is wired to a stand that I just bent around and is tucked underneath the rock there. Pretty secure. Sometimes I take a gamble and don't get everything incredibly secure, but he's pretty secure. The other two elves are on NECA stands that they fit on pretty well on the pegs. That one's balanced sort of on the rock and on the NECA stand. Neither of the stands can be seen from the front, so this is it's all ACBA compliant stuff here. Hidden stands that wire that's on Bardrick's leg there that you can see is hidden out of the camera behind his leg, so you can't see that. And that is the setup. You can see how many stacks of cardboard are here to hold up this rock. There is another rock back here. I probably could have used just a book. I was kind of hoping part of that would be seen, but it's not, so it's now just a very heavy stand for that elf. All right, let's talk about the lighting here. So if we look at the background, and we'll take a look at the final shot here. There you go. The background's got a very golden color to it. It's a sunset kind of in the mountains, so the mountain is a little bit higher than the sun at this point, and there's lots of clouds. It's almost above the clouds, or in the clouds. So my light source is coming from that side. That's where the sunset is, and so that's where I want to light it from. Now, when I started this out, I had my softbox, which is right here, overhead, over the top of them, and the lume cube acting as the sun source, the sunlight, which is what I usually use the lume cube for. They're super bright. You could put a nice orange gel on it and focus it, and it works great for that hot, direct sunlight. But sunlight isn't always just direct. Obviously, when the sun is out, everything is lit up. So you want an atmospheric light, or an ambient light around. So that's what I use the softbox for. Again, I've said in the past, you can use a spotlight that you get from Home Depot and some, I would suggest going out and getting a cheap reflector, large, like 3-foot reflector that you can take the cover off of, and that becomes a diffuser that you could put the light, you could hang that from the ceiling or something like that, and you can put the light overhead and get the same effect. This just happens to be a big softbox on a stand over here, so that's what I use. I have room for that. Again, cinefoil, if you haven't seen my other videos, some of my favorite stuff. I clip it to the lights. What that does is keep that light from reflecting off the screen and giving you any highlights. You can sort of see over here, I've got a bounce card that I'll just go over to really quickly. And you can see it reflected here from where we are, but in the camera that is hidden. You do not see that, but that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. You don't want your lights reflecting off the screen and creating highlights. And it's tough. It's a reflective surface, so that's one of the tricky things about using a digital background. But cinefoil is awesome stuff, and you can wrap it around anything, tape it to anything, to achieve what you need and shape it to keep the light from bouncing off the screen. So that's that. All right, so then I don't have this on yet, but this, just to preserve it, this is my lume cube. This is my sunlight right here. Okay, what else is going on here? So the third light I'm using is, if you look at the picture in the background, you've got a lot of shadow on this side. Obviously, the sun is setting over here, and that's half of the mountain is in shadow, and it's very blue. I think this is a painting. This is obviously not a photograph. It's a painting of some sort, or an illustration, or digital 3D rendering or something. So there's a lot of blue over here. So I could take a blue light. I could just bounce. I could just throw the blue light onto them. But what that's going to create is a light source. I don't really want it to look as if it's being lit by something blue necessarily. Now, there's a little bit of play you can have with that, but what I want is to look like it's in shadow. The blue is just a product of the things that light is bouncing off of, other gray objects, rocks, etc. And the night is falling, so there's a little bit of a blue tint to things under moonlight. So the moon is obviously coming up from the other side, or is out. So what I'm doing here is I've got a Wii light, which is an RGB light. It's dialed into a blue color. Okay, like a medium blue, and that I have decided to bounce off of a card. So this is almost like an umbrella light type of situation, where you've got the umbrella light and you aim the light into it, and it softens the light and it comes out. But This isn't, we're not trying to like scoop this around necessarily. You don't have to do that. It's not a big subject. So this is just a bounce card. It's on a clip. Again, these gooseneck holders, they're fantastic. They're on my Amazon page. They're the best ones I found. So if you're going to buy any of them, buy them from there. Help me out and buy the best ones you can get, because I've tried them all for you. And these are the best ones that are very flexible, very sturdy, and you can buy these clips and things like this from photography shops and stores and stuff, and they'll hold things in place like your bounce cards and stuff, and then they'll also hold the loom cubes directly right on the, and then there's an adjustment ball joint adjustment that you can move around, which is fantastic. So the light, going back to this, is blue. It's bouncing off this white card, and I've just got a little black card over half of it. I'm trying to keep the troll in a little bit more shadow and just get some highlights on his horns and some of the the bumps and on his and rocks and stuff on his skin. I don't want him lit up too much. I want a lot of contrast. I want the focus to be here. This is nice and bright, especially in here, right in here. And then I want this to be a little more in contrast. I don't want him to be in the dark, but there's got to be contrast. That's going to be the compelling thing in your photo, is the contrast. And generally the point of most contrast is where your eye is going to go first. So this is a good point right here, because this is going to be lit pretty well, and it's a nice metallic finish by the sunlight and the softbox up here. And it's also going to have some contrast in his hair and, the dark side of this side of him. So that should be a good point of contrast in the final shot. And your eye should kind of go right to Bardrick, which is where I want it to go. I want it to go to Bardrick. I want him to be, he's aiming at the troll, obviously. So then your eye is going to go to the troll, and then you're going to kind of bounce around the rest of it. You can see that this is giving it a little bit of a blue glow, but not like it's not like this. You're not lighting it up. It's not blue, which would just look artificial. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit and show you what I'm talking about. So, that's it with just like a direct blue light on it. And then this is it with just the light bouncing off. Now ignore that light back there that you're seeing on the screen, because that's, again, not going to show in the camera. So if you just look at Bardrick for now, it's that versus, that, which is really blowing him out and making him look too blue. I mean, you could lower the light a little bit, but what you're doing by bouncing it off the card is just softening it and spreading it around. So a much better way to go. All right. So then with the troll, I've got a couple of other bounce cards going on here with him. Let's move over here and take a look at him. So he's getting lit from the back by the softbox up here and by the loom cube. Although the loom cube has, you can see the barn doors on it, which are just four little flaps that you can move in and out to sort of cut the light from hitting certain angles. And, just keeping the light sort of soft on this. It looks bright here, but in camera, at the speed I'm shooting at, it's not going to be as bright as you're seeing it here. Got to keep in mind, I'm also going to throw some fog into this. I'm going to try and keep the fog mainly behind Bardrick and sort of giving some depth to the elves behind him to make them look like they're even sort of, it just gives a little more depth to it. They feel like they're further back from him, and they're in the distance, and they're not the focus. It takes the high contrast off of them, so that, again, the contrast and the focus is on Bardrick, our main subject. So, all right, so with the troll, I've got those lights hitting him, and then it was a little too dark. I don't know if taking this out right here is going to show you what I'm talking about, really. You can see it, especially if you look under his arm, right there to there, and just under on that horn on his face. So all I'm doing is just getting a little bit of highlight. And you really have, you got to move this around, because you can see, if you watch, especially that horn area, you know, the more you aim it at the light, the more it's going to reflect the light and the more it's going to hit there. So it's all about the angle and how much light you want, right? So I thought this was good. It gave a little bit of a highlight. You're going to see that in the final picture again, that you can see the nice details in here, but it's not screaming at you. It's not super bright. I also did find that before I put this little bounce card underneath, you can kind of see the difference right there. You see how it hits the underside of his arm a little bit. It's deeper in here, so it's really more the underside and not the side like that. But just to keep it from blending into the rest of the background and the body of the troll, it just gives it almost a rim light effect. So it just kind of cuts it away from the background, and you can see where there's a shape there, as opposed to just kind of blending into darkness. So that is pretty much the breakdown of the shot. As I said, I threw some fog in here when I shot it, and I always use fog. I think it gives it atmosphere. I use it in different ways. Sometimes it blows around. Sometimes I keep it sort of low to give it like a ground cover effect. Generally, it's more atmosphere, and I kind of let it go where it wants to go. But you will see a difference. I'll show you some different cuts here of what it looks like with the different fogs with different shots, and I just put it on auto shoot and lock my focus in on Bardrick, because if you don't lock your focus in, the fog will take the focus away, because the fog will be in front of the figures and the camera will try to focus on the nearest object, which may not be, you know, where you wanted it aimed. So make sure you lock your focus in before you start shooting, and then you know, blow your fog, your atmosphere aerosol around, and it's just a nice atmospheric effect. I think it gives it more depth. I think it gives it more of a lifelike appearance. I just like it. It's not for everybody, but I like it a lot. So anyway, that's it. That's the shot. Here's the final shot. And thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. And as always, until next time, keep shooting your toys.